4th of July, somebody had to think how the economy was going to be tanked by then. And I was kind of like, well, that seems right to me. But that didn't happen. Look, the stock market is at record highs. I know not everybody lives by the stock market, but I also drive around. I don't see a country in a depression at all. I see people out there just living their lives. And I would have thought, and I got to own it, that these tariffs were going to sink this economy by this time, and they didn't.
Now let's talk about the deals the Trump administration has struck in recent days. Firstly, with Japan, a huge deal, the biggest struck yet until the EU deal. The European Union certainly talked a big game, but they seem to have capitulated in rather spectacular fashion.
You're known as a tough negotiator and deal maker. What is in front? And fair. And what is in front of us?
That's less important.
If we are successful, I think it would be the biggest deal each of us has ever struck. So I'm very much looking forward.
Ever struck by anybody.
And if this deal ends up being finalised, it gives the US pretty much all it wanted without the EU getting much in return. That is called a rebalance, according to the EU president.
I think the president is right. We have a 50 to 50% chance to strike a deal. And indeed, it is about rebalancing. So you can call it fairness, you can call it rebalancing. We have a surplus, the United States has a deficit, and we have to rebalance it. We have an excellent trade relation. It's a huge volume of trade that we have together.
Ursula von der Leyen, the EU president, Josh, talked a big game before this agreement, but it certainly looks like a capitulation. You look at the details that have been released, it is a massive win for the US.
You know, Rita, Donald Trump is the only man that I've ever seen who flies over to Scotland, the home of golf, to play some rounds of golf with his family, to usher in a new Trump-affiliated golf course redesign. And he comes home bagging one of the greatest, most historic trade deals in the history of modern commerce. I mean, this is truly historic stuff. And you know, whether it's really getting the better of Ursula von der Leyen and the European Union bureaucrats, whether it's the massive trade deal that the United States just reached with Japan about a week and a half ago, we had a deal with the Philippines in the interim. That kind of flew under the radar. By the way, holding trade aside just for a second there, he also reached a ceasefire deal between Thailand and Cambodia. I mean, this is just like, it's just a rapid fire win after win after win. I mean, I have never experienced, frankly, this much winning from a president in my life. I don't know if there's always things where you can do better. There's Epstein, there's some judicial losses, fine. But this president is really, really, really on fire at this moment. He is hitting his first year swing and then some. And by the way, going back just briefly to the trade issue, Rita, all of the critics, all of the president's various neoliberal critics, both right, left, center, all in between there, they said he's going to destroy the economy. Nothing like that has happened. Literally nothing like that has happened. The inflation rate has barely budged. Meanwhile, massive revenue is coming into the U.S. Treasury. And most importantly, he is fulfilling his America First campaign promise of trying to reshore manufacturing, supply chains there. It's all working according to plan. And frankly, I think the people who were saying that he would tank the economy, we would go immediately nose diving into a recession, I think it's probably not too soon to say that the president probably deserves an apology from some of these folks.
I don't think an apology will be forthcoming. They have got so many of these doomsday predictions wrong about his policies, and he just keeps rolling along. You mentioned the Japanese deal. That was enormous as well. And again, the details released, a massive win for the US.
Absolutely massive. And to Donald Trump's credit, Rita, he's been talking about Japan for a long time. In fact, before the rise of China, there was the rise of Japan. Trump has these old videos on Oprah Winfrey's show from the 1980s, yes, talking about how Japan is not playing by the rules. They're dumping, meaning that they're subsidizing their prices for artificially cheap prices on the foreign stage. They're doing this and that. He's been obsessed with Japan for a very, very long time. Literally before Donald Trump was talking about China, as he says it, before there was China, there was Japan. And Trump's been on this one for essentially his entire adult life. So I think that this is not just a massive win for the United States there. It's not just a boost to the American auto industry as well, talking about these 15% tariffs on Japanese automobiles there. But I think this deal in particular has some kind of personal gravitas for the president because his eye has been on the Japanese trade issue for literally 40 to 50 years.